Hi everyone and welcome to our new Super Monday. And this time we are going to focus on three hybrid subgenres. My name is Guy Yogev and I'm leading the product design department. Next to me we have Uri, which leads the market research, and Guy, our senior game designer. In this competition, we'll give you some ideations and creatives that you need, some tips for our three sub-genres, and in the end, you will be able to share your questions. So let's kick off. So our three subgenres: idle resource management, idle tycoon, and puzzle games. And this time you can have a great rewards, $5,000 or even $10,000 for getting a decent prototype according to the CPI and the metrics, and up to 30,000 K for going on soft launch. Beyond that, you will have all the company that you need to in order to win with us. You will have all the tips and tricks, data, and details about how to make the next great hybrid game. In terms of timeline, the competition will start on December 2nd all the way to January 30. You will have time to submit your game and get the results by February 24th. So let's start with the ideation and creatives, and I will pass it to Uri.
Thanks, Guy. So my name is Uri, and I'm leading the market research here at Supersonic. So in the hyper casual, which is not relevant anymore, marketability was 80% of the ideation process. It's mainly getting the CPI, and then you don't need to have amazing product and strong game loops. But now we ask you to focus on monetization at the start, references for games that are doing very well in top grossing charts or new hybrid games, but also think about the marketability side and what will bring the CPI. Is there a theme, either type of creatives? So we ask you on the ideation phase to look at both of them equally. So you can even look at the ideation phase like that. On the marketability side, look for the strong common theme with low CPI, and we'll talk about a few of our success stories that started this way. Themes that just worked in hybrid. We showed some example for that as well. Focus on upgrade, clean gameplay. It's easier for studios that grew in hyper casual to think about the marketability side and bring the nice CPI. But we also ask you to think about the KPI monetization side, a strong game loop, progression layers, always seeing the new hybrid games that kind of doing very well. So we ask you to equally look at both of them. Some example for themes. Some themes just work better. For example, you can see here some car themes that work for us in Pick Me Up Idle, but we can also see other idle games we tested, or even puzzle games with cars. All of them had nice CPI. So some themes just work better. It's bringing clean, very nice creatives. And this is a nice example for car theme that worked in several games through the years that also worked for us in this type of games. Some creative just work better. Some actions, cleaning. You can see the sand that works for say games. We can see snow melting, other cleaning, stacking that works in other arcade. Some creatives showing those doing different actions, stacking items, cleaning items. This is also started very well in Trash Tycoon with a nice CPI. So we aim to get the nice CPI, as we said, alongside a strong reference for gameplay that works and monetizes very well. Also thinking about puzzles, you can see different puzzle creatives of games that worked through the years, starting with Parking Jam, then to Traffic Escape, then to Bus Jam. Each game added something differently. If it's the arrows, if it's the bus that you need to match the colors of the stickman to the bus, if it's now the bus money type of games that are doing very well and mix the arrows and the bus. So you can see that each game is impacted from the older one and adding something new, either in the creatives or either in the gameplay. So those references, nothing is coming out of nowhere. So it's also seeing what works and bringing a little bit of a twist. We talked about themes. You can see, for example, 2 Alien games. One game worked very well in the old hyper casual world because it had probably very low CPI, and the other one works now in more of this hybrid market. Again, because Aliens can bring nice CPI, but also the gameplay is much more idle RPG that monetizes much better. So I wanted to focus on the main game theme. For example, here it's aliens, clarity, the goal of the game. The gameplay should be very clear, clean environment. You can see a minimal environment, for example, on the alien invasion type of game. I want you to focus on upgrades, on evolution, on unlocking, things that on the first 5-10 seconds user kind of understand what the game is about and what he needs to do. And obviously the satisfying actions that we showed earlier, the cleaning, and those stacking, those things that kind of worked always in hypercare and hybrid type of games. So this is what we want you to aim for, getting a nice CPI at the first prototype, but also make sure that you have a strong gameplay and strong references to game that can monetize later. So this is my tips. Handing over to Guy that will talk about a few of our hybrid casual success stories.
Thank you, Uri. My name is Guy Yogev, and I'm a senior game designer at Supersonic. And now we're going to talk about Pick Me Up Idle. Pick Me Up Idle is an idle resource management game which sits under the wide umbrella of simulation genre. And basically, the main idea in the game is the players run taxi business when they pick up and drop a passenger at a specific destination. The controls of the game, rather than also the objective, is pretty simple and easy to pick up upon. And if we'll move forward, the core gameplay of the loop is straightforward. The core loop stresses the transition from focusing on exploring to expanding. If we go from the left to right, so we start by picking up passengers, and then we want to upgrade the stations if we want to keep up with all the orders, and then we finish all the upgrades and we want to expand our area and to unlock more areas. Moving forward to the main game system in idle resource management games is the upgrading system. I want to present one in-game currency which is scarce, and then I want to grant the players the sense of urgency. They're always on the hunt to get more of it. So you start by the regular upgrades of the stations, and then you go with the main specification of your business, your taxi business. And if you move forward, you upgrade your units, and you have also even a manager layer that will help you to enhance your profit share and your productivity. Let's move on to the monetization model in those games. So it focuses on two main streams. And as you can see from the left, you have bundles that specify enhancing your profit and enhancing your productivity. And if we go to the right, we have bundles that go with your main in-game currency. And the idea is to focus mainly on productivity rather than other simulation games when we focus on time management. So what are the key takeaways from these games? So we want easy and seamless tutorial phase and first-time user experience. We want to present one main in-game currency, which is scarce, and players will always be on the hunt to get more of it. We want to offer multiple upgrading system, which are vast and diverse. And of course, the progression system should be procedural and sequential. So we have a secret sauce to these kinds of games. Let's start. We have the tutorial phase when we teach players about the upgrading system. Then we're moving forward to the onboarding phase. And now we're talking about the in-game currency and the scarcity of it. And when I'm in the grown-up phase, I want to present the players many opportunities that they can find those bottlenecks and those choke points through monetization. And now we're going to talk about Trash Tycoon. I'm moving it to Guy.
Yeah, so as we understand the idle resource management games, we can move forward to Idle Tycoon game. And this time we'll focus on one of our great latest game, Trash Tycoon, with our partner Funcell. It's about a garbage collection. You need to manage it, to manage your garbage factory. It brings a lot of new tiny elements that we are focusing soon. The unique theme of the garbage and some idle activities that we will elaborate soon. So let's jump in. So first about idle Tycoon games, we need to remember those are very busy games. A lot of things happen in it, and we need to make sure that we make it very clear for the user what they need to do. So it should be easy to understand. We need to guide them to have some kind of a progress guidance for the user to know exactly how it's going to look like and what they need to do so they won't be too overwhelmed. One more thing that is super interesting about designing the game is the offline earning. Unlike other games, the user keep working or keep playing even without being in the game. Once you establish your factory, you keep getting money, and then when you come back to the game, you can take this money and use it to keep growing. Second part about balancing the progression and the rewards of the user. So we always need to remember that we need to gratify the user, to make them feel like every action that they do give them something back. So this gradual challenge and the reward should be balanced all the way. And once we are able to do so, we're able to scale up with the game. Last, about monetization. So unlike other games, this time you won't necessarily look for coins. You won't want necessarily to purchase coins or gems. This time we can sell them services. We can sell them people that helps them to grow their business. And when we make it so integrated within the game, it will help the user to overcome this fear maybe from making any purchase. So if I can wrap it up, and the most important part is about how to take it and do it from first to the end. So gradually ramp up the difficulty of the user. Make sure that the balance between the challenge and the reward goes together. We should have a clear guidance and to make sure that the monetization is integrated within the game, because if we need to remember one thing about idle game, user wants time, more time to boost their game, to accelerate their game, and the best thing that we can sell them is make things faster. So I'm giving back the mic to Guy to keep on talking about puzzle game.
Thank you very much, Guy. So now we're going to talk about an exciting genre for me, which is puzzle games. And let's talk about a hidden gem in those games, which are the gem puzzle games. It's a subgenre and a very fun and addictive one. And the main mechanic in these games is matching. So basically, as we can see from the picture, we want to match between two objects to clear the board, to clear both of the grids. Those are level-based games that present a lot of challenges and obstacles and a lot of content to foster the feeling of progression. So if we want to identify the difficulty curve in those games, we need to establish first our game identity. So we have the permissive games, which are the match 3 games, and we have the strict games, which is the rising jewel, the gem games. So tip number 1, we want to focus on the tray. The tray has lots of slots that they can unlock. Some of them are available at first, and some of them will be available later on through monetization or through progression. So if in this picture, if I want to match the blue stickman to the blue balloon, I first move the blue stickman to the tray. And if I want to impact the difficulty curve, I can change the unlock level of the tray slots, and then it will of course impact the difficulty curve and make it a bit more difficult. One thing that we fight most of the time as game developers and designers is the player expectancy. We want to fight against boredom and the stagnancy of it. So tip number 2, changing the grid of items. If we want to avoid expectancy, we should generate different grid layouts. So we want to create pressure points. We can most surely change pretty much everything, the amount of colors, the amount of obstacles, and almost everything in this game. Tip number 3 to fight with a player expectancy is to introduce obstacles. Obstacles, much like boosters, They act like in-game content that players wish to unlock, and we should check the pace of the unlocking together with the combination because specific obstacle mechanics work better than others. Before going to tip number 4, let's talk about the purpose of obstacles in puzzle games. So I want players to strategize their moves instead of going to one lane. I want to prevent them to fight the stagnancy and to fight the boredom. And I want to drive them to progress more in the game because this is why they use their brains, and most surely they will buy more in the game. So these are the choke points that I can utilize in my service. Tip number 4, I want to change the level variation between attempts, or as we call it, within the level. So as we can see from the picture here, I have the tunnel that I see the stickman go from a specific order. If I fail more than once, I want to get a slightly new level, a slightly new challenge, and I can change pretty much everything, the combination of obstacles and the order that they come out of the tunnel, just to create a slightly different experience and maybe even a bit more easier. Let's wrap it up. So what we have to impact the difficulty curve. First thing first, I want to change the unlock level of the tray slots, as we already established what is the tray. Second thing, I want to change the grid of items. As we mentioned, everything is possible there. Third, I want to introduce more obstacles. Players are on the hunt for more content. They want obstacles, they want boosters, they want everything. And last but not least, the level variation. I can change the pace of the game, I can change the preset between attempts and to create slightly more easy experience to them. I hope it was helpful. Giving it back to Guy.
So just before moving on to your part for asking the questions, I just want to remind you that you are more than welcome to visit our Learning Hub and get all the tips that you need in order to make a great hybrid game. And for our future partners, you will have the Knowledge Hub with everything for growing up with Supersonic. So thank you, everyone.